The United States has been stealing Syrian oil. Accounts are as much as 80% of Syria's daily output is being looted by the U.S. Both Damascus and Beijing have been calling out U.S. theft. Let's get into the article. China accuses U.S. of oil theft. American occupation troops stationed in Syria are looting the country's resources, Beijing has claimed. China has blasted the United States for its banditry in Syria, claiming that Washington's years-long military occupation and the plundering of Syrian resources have placed the country on the brink of a humanitarian disaster. Addressing reports during a press briefing on Tuesday, Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesman Wang Wenbin was asked to comment on recent reports in Syrian media that U.S. forces had transported a large quantity of looted oil from Syria to Iraq earlier this month. We are struck by the blatancy and egregiousness of the U.S.'s plundering of Syria. Such banditry is aggravating the energy crisis and humanitarian disaster in Syria, he said, citing Syrian government statistics purporting that over 80% of Syria's daily output was smuggled out of the country by U.S. occupation troops in the first half of 2022. Whether the U.S. gives or takes, it plunges other countries into turmoil. That's over 80%. That's theft. Even 1% is theft and should be dealt with. 80%, the U.S. needs to pay reparations and restitution for that. Whether the U.S. gives or takes, it plunges other countries into turmoil or disaster, and the U.S. gets to reap the benefits for its hegemony and other interests, he added. This is the result of the U.S.'s so-called rules-based order. Absolutely correct when he says that. On January 14, Damascus's state-run Syrian Arab news agency Sana reported that a convoy consisting of 53 tanks loaded with stolen Syrian oil were brought from the country's Hasaka province to U.S. bases in Iraqi territory, noting the operation was carried out alongside local Kurdish militants, which have long received American backing. The outlet also stated that 60 additional trucks smuggled stolen oil and wheat into Iraq earlier this month. The Syrian people's right to life is being ruthlessly trampled on by the U.S. With little oil and food to go by, the Syrian people are struggling even harder to get through the bitter winter, Wang added, demanding that the U.S. must answer for its oil theft. I'm 100% with Wang. You pieces of garbage, you fucking thieves. You steal oil and wheat from a country you embargoed and sanctioned. You pieces of fucking thieving garbage. The U.S. U.S. forces were first sent to Syria in 2014, beginning with a contingent of special operators, followed by more conventional ground troops the next year, most embedded with Kurdish fighters in the country's oil-rich northeast. Though then-President Barack Obama maintained the deployment was focused only on combating Islamic State IS, formerly ISIS terrorists, Washington had long intervened in Syria's war against jihadist groups, sending and overseeing countless arms shipments to rebels seeking to overthrow the government in Damascus, beginning as early as 2013. King Midas, the U.S. is King Midas, except the opposite. Everything it touches, it turns to shit. Fucking terrorist America. Carrying out military coups in various countries, stealing their resources, sanctioning and embargoing them, purporting them to be the enemy, the evil ones, when you're the ones that's doing the evil. Though American involvement in the conflict slowed under the next administration, in 2019, President Donald Trump said some U.S. troops would remain in Syria, quote, for the oil, openly suggesting Washington would simply keep the energy resources. Fucking Democrats and Republicans, both thieves, and both need to be prosecuted. Subsequent reporting in 2020 would later reveal that the Trump administration had approved a deal between a U.S. energy firm and Kurdish authorities controlling northeast Syria to develop and export the region's crude oil, a contract immediately condemned as illegal by Damascus. However, while that particular deal would later fall through after President Joe Biden took office, Syrian authorities have continued to accuse Washington of plundering its resources, and some 900 U.S. troops remain in the country illegally. What the fuck are they doing there? Get your fucking dirty American ass back home. You have zero rights to be on Syrian grounds, stealing their oil, stealing their wheat, murdering people. This is what the fuck a unipolar and hegemonic U.S. world looks like. These animals answer to nobody. If you're on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, like the video, comment, leave a comment. If you're listening to this on the podcast, tweet me. Let me know what you think. This is so fucking evil. They're thieves. The United States are thieves.